Single dad's emotional breakdown, a love story that will make you cry. Daniel stood alone in the hospital parking lot, rain pouring down on his black shirt. His hands were shaking, tears mixed with rainwater on his face. He had just received the worst news of his life. His daughter was inside fighting for her life, and he was completely alone. No family, no wife, just him. But then a voice cut through the storm. Daniel, he turned. A woman was walking toward him, long blonde hair flowing in the wind, a dark blue dress shirt with a deep neckline, a black leather short skirt that moved with each step. Her heels clicked on the wet pavement. It was Anna, his colleague from work. The woman he had been avoiding for months because every time she looked at him, something inside him broke. Anna, I can't. His voice cracked. She didn't say anything. She just walked closer, her blue eyes locked on his. And then she did something he never expected. She pulled him close. Let me take you back 3 months. Daniel was a single father working at a corporate firm downtown. Every morning he dropped his 7-year-old daughter Emma at school, then rushed to work. Black coffee, meetings, deadlines, then back to pick up Emma. Homework, dinner, bedtime stories. His life was a perfect routine, but it was also lonely. His wife had left 2 years ago. She said she couldn't handle being a mother anymore. One day she was there, the next day she was gone, just like that. Daniel never talked about it. He buried the pain deep inside and focused on Emma. She was his world, his only reason to wake up every morning. At work there was Anna. She was the company's lead designer, creative, confident, beautiful. Everyone noticed her when she walked into a room, but Daniel never allowed himself to look at her for too long. He had built walls around his heart. Thick, unbreakable, or so he thought. Anna had noticed Daniel from day one, the quiet man in the black shirt who always left exactly at 5 p.m., never stayed for office parties, never talked about his personal life. But she saw something in his eyes, a sadness, a loneliness that matched her own. 3 months later, everything changed. Emma collapsed at school. Daniel got the call during a meeting. His heart stopped. He ran out of the office without saying a word. At the hospital, doctors used words like critical condition and complications, and we're doing everything we can. Daniel sat in the waiting room for hours. His black shirt was wrinkled. His hands were clenched. He couldn't breathe properly. And then the doctor came out with that look, that terrible look that every parent fears. Mister Daniel, your daughter needs surgery. It's risky, but it's her only chance. Daniel signed the papers with shaking hands. Emma was wheeled into surgery, and that's when he broke. He walked out into the parking lot. The rain started. And he couldn't hold it in anymore. He cried. For the first time in 2 years, he let himself cry. That's when Anna found him. Daniel, her voice was soft, concerned. She had followed him from the office when she heard what happened. She couldn't explain why. She just knew she had to be there. Anna, I can't do this anymore. Daniel's voice broke completely. I can't lose her. She's all I have. If she, he couldn't finish. The words wouldn't come out. Anna stepped closer. Rain soaked through her dark blue shirt. Her blonde hair stuck to her face, but she didn't care. She looked into his eyes and saw a man who had been holding everything together for so long that he was finally falling apart. Come here, she whispered. Daniel shook his head. I can't. I have to be strong. I have to. Number Anna's voice was firm. She reached out and grabbed his black shirt, pulling him toward her. You don't have to be strong right now, not with me. And then she pulled him close. His head fell onto her shoulder, and he cried, really cried, the kind of crying that comes from years of holding everything inside. His body shook. His hands gripped her arms, and Anna just held him. Let it out, she whispered. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. They stood there in the rain for what felt like hours. Daniel's tears soaked into Anna's dark blue shirt. Her arms were wrapped tightly around him. She could feel his heart beating against her chest. Fast, desperate, broken. Slowly, his breathing started to calm. He pulled back slightly, but Anna didn't let go completely. Her hands stayed on his arms. Her blue eyes looked up at him. I'm sorry, Daniel said, his voice rough. You shouldn't have to see me like this. Stop, Anna said firmly. Stop apologizing for being human. Daniel looked at her, really looked at her. Her blonde hair was completely soaked. Mascara ran down her cheeks from the rain. Her dark blue shirt clung to her skin, but she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Why are you here? He asked quietly. Why did you come? Anna hesitated. This was the moment she had been avoiding for months. But standing here in the rain, holding this broken man in her arms, she couldn't hide it anymore. Because I care about you, she said. I've cared about you since the first day I saw you. The way you rush out every day to pick up your daughter. The way you smile when someone mentions her name. The way you've been carrying this weight all alone. I see you, Daniel, and I care. Daniel's breath caught. Anna. I know you're scared, she continued, her voice stronger now. I know you've been hurt. I know you think you need to protect yourself. But Daniel, you don't have to do this alone anymore. I can't. Daniel started, but Anna cut him off. Yes, you can. Her hands moved up to his face, wiping the rain and tears from his cheeks. You're allowed to lean on someone. You're allowed to let someone care about you. Daniel stared at her. His black shirt was completely soaked. His hair dripped water down his face. But all he could see was Anna. This woman who had somehow seen through all his defenses, who had followed him here, who was standing in the rain telling him things he had been terrified to hear. I'm broken, Anna, he whispered. My wife left me. I barely keep it together for Emma. I don't have anything to offer you. Anna smiled, a sad, beautiful smile. You think I don't know about broken? Daniel, my ex-fiancé, left me at the altar 2 years ago, in front of 300 people. I know what it feels like to be shattered. I know what it's like to build walls so high that no one can get in. Daniel's eyes widened. I didn't know. Because I don't talk about it, Anna said, just like you don't talk about your wife. We're both walking around pretending we're fine. But we're not fine, Daniel. We're both lonely. We're both scared. And we're both standing here in the rain like idiots because we're too afraid to admit that we need each other. Something shifted in Daniel's chest, like a crack forming in a dam that had been holding back an ocean. He looked at Anna, really looked at her, and saw someone who understood. Someone who had been through hell and come out the other side. Someone who wasn't asking him to be perfect. Anna, he started, but the words got stuck. Anna stepped even closer. Her body was almost pressed against his now. She could feel the warmth of him despite the cold rain. Her hands were still on his face. His black shirt was under her fingertips. Just say it, she whispered. Whatever you're feeling, just say it. Daniel's hands moved to her waist, slowly, hesitantly, like he was afraid she might disappear if he touched her too firmly. His fingers touched the leather of her black skirt. His eyes searched hers. I'm scared, he admitted. I'm terrified. Because every time I look at you, I feel something I thought I'd never feel again. And I don't know if I'm strong enough to go through that pain again if it doesn't work out. Anna's heart broke and healed at the same time. This strong, quiet man who had been holding everything together was finally being honest, finally being vulnerable. Then we'll be scared together, she said softly. Because I feel it too, Daniel. Every single day at work I feel it. When you walk past my desk, when you smile at something someone says, when you rush out to pick up Emma, I feel it. And it terrifies me too. They stood there, faces inches apart, rain pouring down. The hospital loomed behind them. Emma was inside, fighting. The world was falling apart. But in this moment in the parking lot, something was being built. What if Emma doesn't make it? Daniel's voice cracked. What if I lose her and I've opened my heart to you and I lose everything? Anna's grip on his face tightened. Then I'll be there through the worst of it. I'll hold you while you cry. I'll help you pick up the pieces. I won't leave, Daniel. I won't be like her. Those last words hit Daniel like a punch. I won't be like her. The promise he needed to hear but was too afraid to ask for. How can you promise that? He asked desperately. How can you know? Because I know what it feels like to be left, Anna said, her voice fierce now. I know what it does to a person. And I would never, never do that to someone I care about. Especially not to you. And especially not to that little girl in there who deserves a chance to be loved by people who won't give up on her. Daniel felt something break inside him. The last wall, the final defense. It crumbled. Anna, he breathed. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to let someone in again. Anna smiled through the rain. Her blonde hair was plastered to her face. Her dark blue shirt was see-through from the water. But she had never looked more beautiful. Then let me show you, she whispered. Let me teach you. One day at a time, one moment at a time, starting right now. Anna's hands slid from his face down to his chest. She could feel his heart pounding under the wet black shirt. Her blue eyes looked up at him with an intensity that made his breath stop. Cry on my shoulder, she said softly. Let it all out. Every bit of pain, every bit of fear, every tear you've been holding back for 2 years. Cry on my shoulder, Daniel, he did. His forehead pressed against hers first, then his face buried into her neck, and he cried. Anna held him tighter than she had ever held anyone. Her fingers ran through his wet hair. Her other hand pressed against his back, feeling every shudder, every sob. That's it, she whispered. I've got you. I've got you. Minutes passed. Maybe 10. Maybe 20. Time didn't matter. The rain continued. Cars drove by, but they stood there, locked together, as Daniel finally let himself fall apart. When his crying finally slowed, when his breathing started to even out, Anna pulled back just enough to look at his face. His eyes were red. His face was wet with tears and rain, But there was something different in his expression now. Something lighter. Better, she asked gently. Daniel nodded slowly. Yeah, Anna smiled, and then her expression changed. Something heated flickered in her blue eyes, something daring. Her hands moved back up to his face. Good, she said, her voice dropping lower. Because now I want you to do something for me. What? Daniel asked, confused. Anna's thumb traced his bottom lip. Her eyes followed the movement. Daniel felt electricity shoot through his entire body. Kiss me, Anna whispered, not because you think you should, not because you feel grateful, but because you want to. Kiss me like you mean it, Daniel. Kiss me like you're not afraid anymore. Daniel froze. His hands were still on her waist, touching the black leather skirt. Her hands were on his face. Their bodies were pressed together. And she was asking him to do the one thing he had been fantasizing about for months, but was too terrified to admit. Anna, I don't think, she interrupted. For once in your carefully controlled life, don't think, just feel. What do you feel right now? Daniel looked at her. This incredible woman who had found him at his lowest point, who had held him while he broke, who was now looking at him like he was the only man in the world. I feel like if I kiss you, everything will change, he admitted. Anna smiled. Good, because everything should change. We should change, together. That was it. The final push. Daniel's hand moved from her waist to the back of her neck, fingers tangling in her wet blonde hair. Anna's breath caught. Their eyes locked for one more second. And then he kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't careful. It was desperate and hungry and full of 2 years of loneliness and pain and need. Anna gasped against his mouth and kissed him back just as fiercely. Her hands gripped his black shirt, pulling him closer, closer, closer. The rain poured down harder. Thunder rumbled in the distance. But neither of them noticed. They were lost in each other, in this moment. In this kiss that tasted like rain and tears and hope. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were breathing hard. Daniel rested his forehead against Anna's. That was, he started. Yeah, Anna agreed breathlessly. It really was. A phone buzzed, Daniel's phone. He pulled it out with shaking hands. It was the hospital. Mr. Daniel, your daughter is out of surgery. She's stable. You can see her now. Relief crashed over Daniel so powerfully that his knees almost buckled. Anna caught him, her arms immediately around him again. She's okay, Daniel breathed. Emma's okay, see. Anna said, tears in her own eyes now. She's a fighter, just like her dad. Daniel looked at Anna, this woman who had shown up in his darkest hour, who had held him, who had challenged him, who had kissed him like he was worth fighting for. Come with me, he said suddenly. Come meet her. Come meet Emma. Anna's eyes widened. Daniel, are you sure? That's a big step. I'm sure, Daniel said firmly. You were right. Everything is changing, and I don't want to do this alone anymore. I want you there, if you're willing. Anna's smile was brighter than the sun breaking through the storm clouds above them. I'm willing, she said. I'm so willing. They walked toward the hospital entrance, hand in hand. Daniel's black shirt was still soaked. Anna's dark blue dress shirt and black leather skirt were ruined. Her blonde hair hung in wet tangles, but they had never looked better. Inside Emma's hospital room, a little girl with big brown eyes looked up at her father. She smiled weakly. Hi, Papa, hi, baby girl, Daniel said, his voice thick with emotion. He kissed her forehead. You scared me. Sorry, Emma whispered. Then her eyes moved to Anna standing in the doorway. Who's that? Daniel looked back at Anna. She looked nervous, hopeful, beautiful. Emma, Daniel said gently, this is Anna. She's someone very special to me, and if it's okay with you, I'd like her to be around more. Emma studied Anna for a long moment. Then she smiled, a real smile. Does she make you happy, Papa? Daniel felt his heart squeeze. Yeah, sweetheart, she does. Then it's okay, Emma said simply. You deserve to be happy. Anna walked into the room then. She sat on the edge of Emma's bed and took the little girl's hand. Hi, Emma, she said softly. I've heard so much about you. Are you going to take care of my papa? Emma asked bluntly. Anna laughed, surprised. If he'll let me, yes. Emma nodded seriously. Good, he needs someone. He pretends he doesn't, but he does. Daniel felt tears prick his eyes again, his daughter, his beautiful, wise daughter. Anna squeezed Emma's hand. Well, I promise I'll try my best. And maybe if you want, you and I can be friends too. Emma's smile grew. I'd like that. Hours later, after Emma had fallen asleep and the doctors confirmed she would make a full recovery, Daniel and Anna stood outside the hospital. The rain had stopped. Stars were starting to appear in the clearing sky. Thank you, Daniel said quietly. For today, for everything. Anna turned to him. Her blonde hair was starting to dry, curling slightly at the ends. Her dark blue shirt was still damp, but the black leather skirt had dried. She looked tired but happy. You don't have to thank me, she said. This is what people do when they care about each other. They show up. Daniel pulled her close again, his arms wrapping around her waist. She fit perfectly against him. I meant what I said, he murmured into her hair. Everything is changing, and I'm scared. But I'm also hopeful. For the first time in years, I'm actually hopeful. Anna looked up at him, her blue eyes shining. Then hold on to that hope, Daniel. Hold on to it with both hands. And hold on to me too, because I'm not going anywhere, promise. He asked, needing to hear it one more time. I promise, Anna said firmly. Then she smiled mischievously. Besides, you're a really good kisser. I'd be crazy to walk away from that. Daniel laughed, actually laughed. When was the last time he had really laughed? Is that the only reason you're staying? He teased. Anna pretended to think about it. Well, you're also pretty good looking in that black shirt, and you're an amazing father, and you're kind and strong, and Daniel cut her off with another kiss. Softer this time, sweeter. A promise of things to come. When they pulled apart, Anna sighed contentedly. We're really doing this, aren't we? She asked. Yeah, Daniel said, smiling. We're really doing this. And somewhere in that hospital room, a little girl named Emma slept peacefully, knowing that her father had finally found someone who could help carry the weight he had been carrying alone for so long. Sometimes the darkest moments lead to the brightest new beginnings. Sometimes all you need is someone brave enough to show up in the rain. And sometimes the best love stories start with tears and end with hope. Folded hands like if you believe in everyday heroes. Comment where you're watching from Backhand Index, pointing down, bell, subscribe to Evergleam Stories for more true-to-life, tear-jerking tailies that end with light.